Hello and welcome to the RWBY podcast. You know what they say? Oh god, I completely forgot what I was gonna say. Something about tree barks being worse than its bite. Mediocrity 4.
You know, Speaking of wood puns, I just ordered the current edition of Identifying Wood, and the article on Wood Ruby is it's very in depth, almost disturbingly so. Whoever did this identification of Wood and Ruby really spent a lot of time with her. Um, I need to take a shower now. It is I, high powered.
This episode was basically a setup, but unfortunately, I didn't have time to set up a joke for my time, dude.
Uh, I'm Coop, and I love coffee.
A simple
Excellent.
man
10 out of 10.
with simple needs.
Man, I was no, we're coming up on the end of this volume, and I was actually re-listening to some of the old podcasts while I was on my little vacation this last week, and man, we have some good times here. But this is the hold on. Yeah. This is the penultimate episode of Volume 9. And it was really short.
Yeah. It was basically,
Yeah.
like I said, it was a setup episode. It's not much to say. There were some issues. Definitely not as strong as the last few episodes. That might not be a huge issue if the next one is good. I am glad the armor came back because what's really funny is we got RWBY has an armor, and then also in the middle. Well, I actually just ended Mandalorian season 2, which also has an armor. So
Yeah.
we got a couple of things actually confused. It's kind of confusing, but
It's like the Mandela effect.
I don't want RWBY to just become her mom. That would be fucking weird as shit. And
Maybe she becomes her dad. You know?
Yeah, they could just transition RWBY for whatever reason.
That's
yeah,
true.
dude.
She's already wearing shorts, so that she's part of the way there already.
RWBY becomes Brubby instead.
Yeah. So that was what kicked this episode off, and what was kind of the highlight for me, which was we got confirmation that the voice that actually kicked off this volume, it was Summer reading to Tiny Ruby and Tiny Yang, and she is voiced by Morgan Laurie. I'm gonna check the spelling on that. Morgan
Did they just find
Laure. It's Laure, but the E has like one of those accent marks on it. But
yeah, that'd be a Laure or something like
yeah,
that.
she's not a big name voice actress. I saw people posting like other stuff she's done, and the only thing that I recognized at all was Todoroki's mom from My Hero Academia, who has like a total of like 5 lines. And
talk about a hot
the
piece
show.
of ass, though. There's a lot of good art of her.
Yes.
You might be
The
thinking
Summer
of
Rose
Bachio.
art. Yeah. Well, no, I think he was talking about Summer Rose spinning out of this episode, which I knew was going to happen. I knew the second that every time that they show Summer Rose, the Summer Rose tag on like all the art channels and stuff just starts exploding, and I love it because I love that design. It's actually one of the very first designs technically that we ever saw in RWBY, all the way back in the red trailer with the white specter that was in the red trailer and the original version of the volume 1 opening. And they've only given us like very little teases of her since then. Like there's the photo in volume 3, which was her like full body reveal, even though you could only see part of her face. Then you had the volume 6, which was the first time that she actually had a character model, during the Leviathan fight, Ruby flashes back, and so that, and then there this almost identical but nighttime version of that scene, which was in volume 7, episode 11, the best episode of that volume, where Salem is taunting Ruby and she like flashes back to her mom. So turns out that what we saw of Summer Rose was when she was younger, and after she had her own kid, she changed her outfit and got thick.
I mean, that's what childbirth does to a lady, you know. You want your wife to have bigger boobs, just put a child in her.
That's actually true. That is accurate, by the way. That's not even a joke. That is just a biological the fact of being a mammal.
Wider hips as well, general.
But we also got confirmation that that Ruby's little silver rose pendant thing was like part of Summer Rose's, I don't know what you would call that, chest guard, cross guard, um cape
Get
strap.
up.
Yeah, part of her outfit.
A brooch, maybe?
Brooch?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing you can probably call it. Like, it's either a brooch or a buckle of some sort. I haven't looked at it.
But she did read the story to Baby Yang and Baby Ruby, who we see here. They look adorable. And yeah, she read that story to them as a child. Apparently never told them who wrote the book. So that's relevant for later in this episode.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
I mean, in fairness, I don't know all the authors who wrote every children's story I've read. Like, I know some of them, like Dr. Seuss, I knew wrote that, but I didn't. When I was a kid, I'd read Winnie the Pooh and not know who wrote that, and I didn't know who wrote like Goodnight Moon and stuff like that. You know, so it's not weird.
Some are more easily identifiable. Like, if you were a kid and you read any Roald Dahl stuff, you knew it was by Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was, it's like, it's sort of like a style thing to it, I guess I would say. It's like not, it,
like
sometimes you know did it just by looking at it. Like,
Well, and also like this book that Summer is reading from, when she gets to the end, she's very clearly in the middle, which is either just a dumb animation thing or the fact that like this was a short story that was in a collection of short stories, in which case the author would be cited in the book, but not on the cover like it would be for like if you get a children's book version of Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll or Winnie the
hey,
Pooh by A. Milne.
media, this is a completely different universe, okay? We don't know the practices of the publishing houses in this world. It could be that they put all the names of all the authors for their collected short story companions right on the cover in Merman.
and in the last few pages, it's just like exclamation points, punctuation marks, periods, and quotations, just so like you could splatter them all throughout the book wherever you feel they're appropriate. That's a deep cut reference to a historical person.
Exactly.
Yeah, so then after we get that little flashback, we get a scene that is very jarring coming off of the last episode. Jean, Weiss, Blake, and Yang are riding Juniper, and they are returning to the flooded remains of the Paper Pleaser village.
I'm sorry. Riding Juniper, as in like riding Team Juniper. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
That's not at all where my mind went, but
I know
sure.
that's not what I was thinking either. I was wondering what it. I thought he was laughing maniacally at the death of the paper pleasers.
Which valid if that were the case.
I wouldn't say it's exactly valid per se. I like I said, I don't like the possibly pro-suicide messaging of this volume. Coop does not support suicide. Crazy. I know. I don't think
Bold statement one could take is to not be into suicide.
I don't think having what is essentially a moral that could be espoused from this being that actually Jonestown was kind of cool if you think about it. You probably shouldn't worry about those people. They died the way they wanted to. They went out good. It was. I don't think that's like a good thing to put in your series.
It's like, oh man, I rolled a
It's
really shitty character. As you like, just throw yourself off the side of a cliff.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to see if I can spot a bit again for better stats and a better starting zone.
yeah.
yeah. It's so far removed from
I
like
know it's like technically wrong, but it is funny to me that like I always find it funny when like a woke company like Mr. Teeth will then go and do like, oh yeah, suicide's cool, guys. I'm surprised they haven't gotten more shit for it already. To be perfectly
I don't
honest,
I don't think they intended it. I'll put that out there first off. I don't think
no,
that
I
was
don't
the
think they did
intention.
either. But I'm
I
still, I'm glad they went this direction. I like how dark it is.
Oh yeah,
Personally,
it works. It works for the
Yeah.
volume.
Well,
don't know
what makes it work is that it's just so far removed from like reality. Like it's to an nth degree from where RWBY already was as a show, uh, which was already just very far removed from like the way the real world works. That like it's one of those things where like people who think that this is like unironically pro suicide are the same people who think that like Superman is pro people jumping off of buildings. Like, if you jump off a building, you're not Kryptonian. You're not going to fly. If you are having depressive thoughts, don't drink cyanide. You aren't going to reincarnate as a powerful like whatever RWBY ends up turning into at the end of this volume.
powerful myth.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
like
we
that's
can
just
we can
not
only
going to
dream.
happen. So don't do it.
A powerful MILF with a scythe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
a
man,
powerful
man.
MILF with a halberd axe, which is a dramatically more practical weapon than her scythe.
So
Ooh.
Oh
so
god,
so
yeah.
Lancaster. So for Lancaster shippers like myself, there's still hope. I know Jean gets
There's
fucked
still
up this
hope.
episode, but
There's
there's
a chance.
still hope.
There's a
Wait,
chance.
wait a minute. No. If that's true, then this is gonna turn into fucking Back to the Future.
Uh, no. Like she's not gonna literally turn into Summer. She's not going to literally become her own mom. But I will be totally on board for RWBY getting aged up through this.
Oh yeah, she's like
Mostly because if she still looks like her mom, hmm.
she. Oh
Again,
man.
I just like her and Jean. I like their friendship. I want them to like work through the problems that they had a few episodes ago. I want them to talk things out. I don't want those to be the last words that they say to each other. Um, and aging RWBY up and keeping Jean alive would be a good way to resolve a lot of that tension, if you know what I
Oh
mean.
yeah, dude,
What
I swear, if they kill John off, I'm gonna Fed post, but I'm not going to, so I'm not gonna say anything more.
you want them to resolve some tension, but you're forgetting that it would cause other tensions in between her and Weiss at this point.
Yes, which is even better.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, I do love the romantic priming of John and Weiss. It's great. I love that term that I came up with. I doubt
Yeah.
I'm not the first person that have come up with it, but like, I love that I came up with the romantic priming term.
It works really well, honestly. It should be used more.
Yeah. So, um, they do. Okay, so this is where one of my big complaints about this episode actually comes in. I feel like there is a scene missing where they actually react to what happened in the last episode. Because in the last episode there wasn't any time really like Yang was like struck, like grief stricken
Thunderstruck, they would say.
by what happened to Ruby, but none of the other people really had time to react because they were too busy reacting to the cat possessing Neo. Um I think we really needed a scene where they like are in denial about what happened to Ruby, and then Jean steps in and be like, because denial's the first step of the grieving process, so it makes sense that Yang would be like, this can't be happening, this isn't true, she can't be gone, she can't be gone, she can't be gone. And then Jean's like, yeah, you're right, she can't be gone, she's at the tree, we need to get to the tree, like, now. And then that transitions to them riding Juniper back to the paper pleaser place.
Yeah, the people. Okay, now just for the audience, the 5 stages of grief are, in order, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And I feel like most of the cast is gone through the cycles of grief and have gone to acceptance, which is kind of how they get to the tree. Um,
I mean,
You can
honestly,
kind
the grief cycle thing is completely stupid, and I hate it because it doesn't always work exactly like that. And then anybody who's like pro cycles of grief is like these are things that people can sometimes have happen to them during a grieving period, and a lot of times sometimes don't, and then they're like, oh well, it's still the cycle, just like this guy, he went through one stage super quick where he couldn't even realize he was going through that stage, or sometimes you don't go through the stages at all. It's a terrible psychological model, and I don't think anybody should subscribe to it. But
or you could just go through the cycles of grief like a real man, or Marine in a specific example, which is just drinking yourself into a stupor and getting over it.
like you could
oh,
I'm sure there will be plenty of video essays. I might even make one of them myself where like, oh, we have 5 main characters in this volume and they all represent the stages of grief and here's why, and cherry pick evidence and stuff to support the idea that like the Weiss is in denial the entire volume, and that Ruby is depression, and that like Blake is acceptance, which would make Jean bargaining and Yang anger, and you can totally like cherry pick the evidence to support that premise, but like it's a little more complicated than that.
Yeah, it
I
is a
mean,
little bit more complicated than that. I do like the genial gems. I'm just thinking that like they like grab one of the gems and just like smash it to bits to turn it into dust, instead
Yeah.
of being like, hey, can you drop an ammo box please? And the genial gem's like, yeah, no problem, as it's like walks up with like a K patch and like just like spills a bunch of dust spaghetti in front of them. It's like, how did you even get this?
Yeah, I like that Jean got to have that closure, and it makes sense to me
It's
that
good.
like the people pleasers would transform so quickly because they were ready, they knew exactly what they wanted to be, so they didn't get to get stuck at the tree for any determinate amount of time. They were in and out like Taco Bell at
Yeah,
3 in
that
the
makes
morning.
sense. I do like that Jean also like got to acknowledge like his mistakes and stuff like that too. Because again, he's not actually a bad person. I'm glad that we got to see how fucked up he became. But I'm also glad that like you know he's not actually like some psychopath. Um, I do agree though that a lot of the stuff in this episode, especially with everybody who wasn't Ruby, happened very. Like, I do have an issue with that pacing, which is funny because usually it's the opposite. I want to have stuff happen quicker, especially in Ruby. Like, Volume 5, one of the biggest issues is that, like, fucking nothing happened. The pacing was too slow. In this episode, I do feel like it was too fast. Like, they got over what happened to Ruby very quickly.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
the whole idea, at least from what I could glean based on what Weiss says, and she's the one who said that like the key to them getting to the tree to getting to Ruby where Ruby's at, which is at the tree, and she's stuck there because she doesn't know what she wants right now. Um, was to accept that like the choice is Ruby's. Whatever Ruby becomes, they have to like be ready to accept her, no matter what she comes out the other side looking like.
Well, I mean, if they did cut something just a little snippet out of this particular episode, like why would you think that they would have done that? Like, would have what exactly would have caused them to uh, decide kind of last minute not to put in uh, that thing may or may not have had. Like I don't know how to word it exactly. Like
In this scene, it's like um before Jean couldn't accept that like the paper pleasers wanted to ascend in order to become stronger versions of themselves. Lose their memories, but the heart never forgets. The heart doesn't change. Uh, and he kept them from being able to do that, and so it's kind of the same with Ruby, I guess, where like this is a choice that Ruby made under duress. And I'll actually have some positives to say once we get to the blacksmith scene. Um, and Yeah, they do have like it's out of their hands. There's nothing they can do to stop. Like, Ruby already drank the tea. What she becomes is entirely up to her, and there's nothing that they can do to stop her at this point.
yeah, pretty much. I guess. Yeah, that's
Yeah. Oh man.
So so uh So Weiss continues on that point with like they had a lot, they had high expectations for themselves, but like even the greatest huntsman in history failed, and so that like failing doesn't mean you're no good, which is canonically true. Like they beat up the Aesops, which means that they beat up some of the best huntsmen in history, or at least some of the best huntsmen of the modern day, and then they still failed. So like Cinder's a whole nother beast compared to like what your average high quality huntsman is like. Um,
well,
so
what we
yeah.
were told was a high quality huntsman. Anyway, that
Well, Summer also died, and she was supposedly like the best of the best in her day as well. Like just because you're the best huntsman doesn't mean you're going to be able to stop the eldritch, the immortal horror that has been haunting Remnant since the dawn of man. Uh,
I
or
mean,
at
I
least
do
Or
like that they have that as part of their like show. That is a good thing. Like I think they've been kind of touching on that before, but especially now. I do think that's kind of good because one of the complaints I have with some other series, especially like Star Wars, is that, and especially the sequel trilogy, is they love making the heroes like overpowered, and it is an issue in a lot of like action, like show action anime. Like, no, the main character isn't good unless they're fucking Mary Sue or Gary Sue and completely unbeatable kind of shit. You know what I mean? And I do like that Ruby as a show is not going in that direction. I really do. That's much more realistic and better for people, especially if they're kind of semi-targeting this show as like to like a lot of teenagers and slightly younger people. I guess that's what it seemed like they said at the beginning. That's a much better lesson to learn than what Ray Palpatine teaches people, for example.
yeah, and it goes back to like some classic superhero stuff where like the fight against evil never stops. Like Batman could kill the Joker, but that doesn't stop people like the Joker from existing or from new. It doesn't prevent new Jokers from rising up to take his place. Like You gotta just take.
I don't.
You gotta take your victories where you can take them. Now,
I
in
think.
the case of
I think
Joker,
that.
I do think Joker should die because that's just asking for trouble. But, uh, but that's
Think
the
that's kind of like.
idea.
I don't think that's the idea behind Ruby at all. I think Ruby is going to end, and by virtue of it ending, it will completely destroy all evil and usher in utopia. That's kind of like the only option they have for anything to happen out. Like there's there's no real way that they can skirt around what Salem is at this point. It kind of made and like the foundation of the show just doesn't work the same way as superhero media does, and the like honestly it good because the entire way that the superhero comics industry was set up from the beginning was a terrible idea, and we should have never done it. If I could go back to the 1930s and prevent all of that from happening, I would. Uh, I hate it right down to its very essence at this point because of how it's gone. So, like, I don't think that Ruby can run away from the ultimate significance of what it has there, and that if it does, it would be kind of a cop out at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I think they have to win definitively or lose definitively. One of the two. And based on the show, pretty sure they're going to go with win definitively, which is fine. That's kind of what I've been expecting. I'd like to see a win, but with some heavy casualties. But we'll see. But yeah, I don't think there's not a middle ground here, as Coop said.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see when the show ends what they ultimately do with Salem. But
Yeah.
that leads to the wholesome moment where Weiss hugs Jean and then Blake and Yang have to butt in
White Knight
because
confirmed
that's just
because
what they do now.
that's just what they do now. Oh man, I will say this, man. Weiss is has been the MVP of this volume. I'll just
Rice
say
has
that
been the
right
MVP
now.
of a lot of volumes. Let's be honest. I think we did a whole episode where we ranked all the fucking characters. Did I not put Weiss at number one?
She was
She
definitely
was
up there. I don't
yeah.
remember that was. I don't remember. I might actually still have that sheet somewhere where I had all of our lists side by side. I might still have that somewhere, but it's been so long since we've done that. Was we did that like right after Volume 5,
Yeah, I mean, I
so
might
a
have put.
lot has happened since then.
I think I
Did
saw
I
it really high up at that point, which obviously I had to retract. We all had to retract that. But other than that, I'm pretty sure Weiss is like. I can't. Weiss is the best character in the show. I think. Still,
I
we
do.
talked about flaws, but she's probably been the best character. Definitely the MVP of this volume. She was the MVP of Volume 4, which are probably the two best volumes. 4 and 9 have probably they've been the two best.
Yeah.
So
I do know it was pre-Coop podcast, which is
Okay,
which is how I delineate the history of my channel. There's pre-Coop podcast and post-Coop podcast.
It's the Old Testament versus the New Testament. So
I'm
we
I
went from being a
prefer to
not serious podcast to being an explicitly not serious podcast.
well, the
I would
interesting thing about that is that either way, with and without Coop, we are a PC podcast.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer to think of it more as like the antediluvian utopia versus the post-deluge destruction of the world that I wrought upon you, that you all had to pick up the pieces from. That's how I think of it. And then and as far as like having a top five thing, if I need to have one of those, I guess I'll go ahead and just make it super easy. Deliberately pick everyone that everybody hates as my top five characters of the show, just so that I can be contrarian for no reason. There
So
we
it's
go.
Oscar / Ozpin.
Blake.
Oscar. I love
Blake.
Neo. Blake is Bay. Fucking top tier, whatever that weird girl from Atlas that caused all the stupid shit was. Love that chick.
Yang has only had good ideas this entire series.
Oh
Yes,
God.
100%. You can label that as whatever that is and put it on a board somewhere in your house and know that it will forever be the Coop tier list of ranking characters in RWBY. There you go.
Yeah. So they get to once they accept the inevitable, they get just teleported to the tree. Weird, but it's in keeping with the early parts of this volume at the very least. Um, it's not a place you know, it's a place, or it's not a place you go, it's a place you know, whatever that means. Uh, and
That's some old school
yeah,
why not shit.
yeah,
Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
that's like live, laugh, love tier like logic.
Yeah.
yeah.
Says the
That's
whitehead
like
after she's had her fourth box of boxed wine.
that's like keep moving forward tier. Oh wait,
Yeah, that's also a thing. But like I don't know what knowing has to do with acceptance, but sure. Um whatever.
well
Many,
here's the thing, media that does not rhyme with go,
yeah,
That exactly.
and even that technically doesn't rhyme because it doesn't have the same. Whatever.
It's a slant rhyme. Like it makes the same sound.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, Ruby is encased in wood as she should be. um, whatever that means. Whatever's funniest, I guess. Um, and I do like Yang's reaction here, and I like that Blake is the one to comfort her. Like, this is the time where, like, this is why, like, going back to Volume 6, I was saying that, like, yeah, romantically prime, but not canon. Because, like, this is something I feel like Blake would have done regardless of what happened earlier in this volume. I feel like even without the Punderstorm stuff and the kiss and them like officially going into a relationship, Blake would have still been the one to comfort Yang in this situation.
Oh yeah, no matter what, like she'd be the first one to go. Like do like even if they did like commit to them like being a couple, like she still
Yeah.
would have been the
Well,
one to.
the gestures, and someone pointed this out on Twitter. It's almost identical to what Yang did to Blake when Adam died. Like the whole hand on the cheek and then clutching the hand and then yeah, that's like a very similar gesture to what we actually did see in volume 6.
yeah. I guess I don't really care. I guess so.
No one is making you care. So I just had to comment because I try to be thorough, guys. Come on. Give me a break. Cut me some slack. I've been up for almost 24 hours.
There's thorough and then there's unnecessary details. Wow, what do you know? Two lesbians decided
No.
to hug each other. Crazy how
Unnecessary
that.
unnecessary details would be pointing out how fucking huge Juniper is in this shot. Like her Juniper's head is as big as Jean. Like the ears and stuff are as long as Jean's entire body. That's an unnecessary detail.
I don't know what cycle of steroids they had to give Coop to play the role of Juniper for this though, but I definitely need to get on it because that's a serious cycle they put you on there, Coop.
I'll tell you right now. You know Liver King, right? His stuff. This is like that, but like amped up to the next level. You should really check it out if you get the chance.
Yeah, let me know what that stuff is because my bench is only a bit above 300.
God, now you're making me feel bad. I could barely do like a plate and a half on the bench, and I'm like 200 pounds.
I have
I
no
work
idea what
probably
it
like
is.
8 to 10 hours a week, and I have for like the past 3 years. That's how I lost 40 pounds. So it's like
Okay,
I
that
go to
makes
work,
sense.
I work out, I eat, I go to sleep. Like that's basically what I do.
And you plow
I
your wife. You know, that's the also important post workout activity.
Yeah.
My thing was that I couldn't fucking I had to go for a long time not benching anything so as to not be accused of certain things that would prevent me from getting my medical disability check. Uh, so I don't know what I'm at. I like if I had to highball it, I'd say I'd be like at maybe 190 now, if even that. Like I definitely some stuff has come off in the time I've been not able to do anything. I do need to move my fucking bench over here now that I think about it. I've got the fucking thing over.
But yes, back to
Yeah.
the episode
So
though.
we also see the herbalist. He's got legs now, and he he immediately like
He can fly now. He just
yeah.
pieces out. He's like,
Yeah, he's there. He hatches from the wood. He fucks off. That's it. um, but that's kind of showing that like when you're done with the whatever the blacksmith does, you like crack from your wooden shell like an egg. As
you're like
whatever
a
you are
sea
now.
turtle, you know. You just
Yeah.
spawn out into the. You gotta like make a rush towards the escape zone before the fucking crabs or seagulls get you.
Yep.
So I want to skip ahead a little bit to the Neo stuff. Um so plot twist that everyone kind of saw coming. The cat lied and the cat was wrong about Alex and Lewis, and it turned out Alex had a change of heart at the last minute and Lewis was the one who escaped and wrote the book, and none of our 5 heroes knew who wrote the book. So the whole plot happened because nobody knew who the author was, including Blake, who is canonically supposed to be a bookworm. Um, and then Alex died. The cat killed her, and then waited for more remnant people and continued to like mess with Jean, hoping that he would break, but he never did, which made me really like Jean even more than I already did in this volume, because
Well, John's got an iron will, so there
like
is that.
his mental state fractured, his like mind fractured. His heart never broke though. He never gave up hope, and that is what kept the cat at bay. Uh, that and also the Jean's lack of trust in the cat. But
Oh yeah.
Neo can't go through the portal because she has like no tie to Remnant, whatever that means.
Yeah, whatever that means.
There's a lot of whatever that means going around in this episode. It's not that strong as
I
some of
like
the
how
other
Neocat
episodes.
is like, oh yes, I always disliked you the most as Neocat is getting mogged by best girl Weiss.
Yeah. Oh, Weiss is sassy to
Oh
her.
god, it's
And
so good. God, I love Weiss. Oh,
Mm.
oh.
what would Neocat's pronouns be? I need to know so that I can use the exact opposite.
This, it's an yeah. Its pronouns are it's, isn't.
It's his pronouns were because
Yeah, okay.
it's probably not making it out of this volume. Um, but there's a fight. We can maybe talk about the fight later. But I wanted to kind of get the gist of that early stuff out of the way with the plot twist and the fact that like Lewis was the one who wrote it and Alex died in the ever after, and like that now we have a final confrontation type plot, and it's different from anything RWBY has done before because Weiss, Yang, Blake, and Jean now have to fight off Neocat until RWBY decides on what she's going to be when she grows up. That is a cool premise for a fight. That I'm on board for that.
It
We can
is
talk
pretty
about the
cool.
actual details later because we kind of skip forward. I want to talk about the whole blacksmith sequence as a whole.
Yeah, that's the best way to talk about
It
it.
gets broken up into three different spots that are interspersed with the Neo cat stuff. Um, this is another in an increasingly long list of scenes that are very well written and very like smart about how they do things.
Yeah, because this episode wasn't my favorite, but like again, with the armor was another really good scene in this film. It's not like it was a bad episode, like it's like anything that they've done with the armor so far has been really good. This armor, in fairness, is I like this armor more than Mandalorian's armor a little bit. Mandalorian's armor is cool, but this one's not a cult leader, so
The fact that like it when it talks, its mouth actually moves, but its eyes are still blank. That's upsetting to me. That's unsettling, and not what was going on the first time we saw her. But still love the design. Um, it has like a rodentine head when we first see her when Ruby first runs into her, which is almost certainly little uh, having already decided on what she's going to be in her next life, and that'll be fun. That'll be fun to pay off if it gets paid off, and disappointing if it doesn't. Um, but the main thing that I like about this scene is that everything the armor says or the blacksmith says, what is she credited at? Because but it's all the blacksmith. Um, she is asking the right questions and she is not putting any like outside pressure on Ruby because this kind of goes back to the suicide stuff
It's
in
the
last
most low
episode,
pressure sail you could possibly ever
which
experience in your entire
is
life.
exactly how like suicide hotlines and stuff work. Um, they did
I,
they did their research on this, and I saw a couple people commenting on this, being like, no, like the Ruby when she took a drink of the when she drank the tea, she like escaped from all the like stress and stuff, like the emergency stress and stuff that drove her to make that irrational decision, which it was. It was a decision completely based on like the emotional trauma she was experiencing. Now that she's disconnected from that emotional trauma, she could actually like process her feelings without being berated or scolded or told to kill herself by all of her dead friends. And the blacksmith has like no expectations, doesn't make any suggestions, is just like, what do you want? This is entirely up to you. You're safe here. We can talk this out. You can just vent to me if you need to. And when you make a decision, I will make you to whatever it is you end up as next episode. We don't know.
I
Uh,
mean, I don't know that it works exactly like that. Look, in the in this particular instance, like I think putting out the options in front of her that's kind of like just a lure by nature. Like if you don't if you didn't have like the visual representation of the equipment pop up in front of her in the first place like that, it's harder to make a choice to choose something else if you've got nothing else in front of you, right? So like even if that's like kind of the way they were trying to do it, it's not it doesn't work like that. You put some stuff in front of a guy, he's going to go after it. That's just kind of how it is. Like so it's sort of like This is a very weird thing, and I don't think it's like I don't think you should equate it to like how that sort of thing works. Like, not
Well,
exactly.
Yeah, and I don't think that's necessarily what they were trying to do. I don't think they were trying to make that. I still think it's a good
Yeah,
scene, but that's a very good point. Like, we shouldn't try to make connections to something that serious, especially if they
yeah.
might.
This would be like if the suicide hotline guy, like, if they did it on a video call and they held up like a sheet that had all your options in front of you, and it was like suicide, cool suicide, where you do like a backflip off of a bridge,
Do a flip.
fucking yeah, that don't suicide at all. Another option. That's like I don't think a suicide person would like do that sort of thing. Like that's I don't think holding it up like visual representations of new options is a good idea. I'm not, I'm not like some sort of psychologist. I don't have a PhD in it or anything, but that's just like a personal call to me that I think that's probably something best avoided.
Yeah, agreed.
yeah, but the point is that like the blacksmith doesn't have any like external expectations that she is forcing onto Ruby the way that like life and the life of a huntress has up to this point. You know, here she doesn't have to be the leader. She doesn't have to like be the one to take command. She just has to like figure out what she wants to be when she grows up, and that's why I really think they're gonna give her a new outfit. I feel like through this, and they're gonna little more of a stretch theory, a little more of a hope is that she gets aged up through this. Um, like she wants to become like someone who isn't a kid and is therefore more capable of making the kind of tough decisions she's going to have to make for the rest of the series. Um, and there are like options, but there's like hundreds of options. There's like hundreds of weapons in the scene. It's basically
There's literally a
unquantifiable.
Buster Sword in this scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did very clearly kind of like make one. That is another thing I would kind of like I'd critique the animators on a little bit of like making the one that you would definitely choose so evident as the one just because it was like so differently styled from all the other ones.
Spot the anime weapon protagonist.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Spot the item in the scene that's actually going to be animated. It's like what's not a JPEG.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not even like they were all 3D models, right? They could have just added a little bit more detail to the other ones. And I don't know.
They are like I'm looking at a single screenshot. They reuse the same like 4 or 5 things. Like just in the shot I'm looking at. There's 1, 2, 3 of the same sword. There's 2 of the same axe. There's 2 of the same spear. Like they repeat it, but like
What in the Hanna-Barbera is this?
yeah, they don't like make it a super obvious pattern. Like they break it up, but like it is very clearly like they
clearly
have a couple, and then that's just all in the background. You're not supposed to look at it. You're supposed to look at Ruby. She's in the forefront.
Fucking
nah, they
Shadow
don't
People have returned.
they
The
don't
shadow
understand
weapon.
their autistic audience that's going to peer into the background of each shot to try and figure stuff out. They completely didn't understand basic pattern recognition doesn't necessarily stop just because you slightly broke up a pattern. Shame on you, Ruby animators. You do better next time.
Yeah, do better with that limited time you got.
Limited time. They had a long ass time with this volume. They should have
Yeah,
used it better.
well,
I'm not giving.
they also had to deal with COVID stuff. Like this is remember this is still very much a product of the pandemic. Like
Mm,
we're kind of done with that now, but the bulk of this volume's pre-production was done at the height of the pandemic. Which is why, like, I
Man.
can forgive some corner cutting.
Those are wild times too. I don't know, like to me, like the reason why the episode was so short was like it was all just set up for like the next episode, and if they stick the landing, like this is probably going to be like the best episode of RWBY.
Well, I feel like this is the only episode of the volume, and by this merit, it might actually be the weakest episode of the entire volume. It's the only episode of the volume that doesn't have any kind of resolution whatsoever. Like, it doesn't end at a good stop. It ends on a cliffhanger, like a very obvious cliffhanger.
Like classic RWBY.
Yeah.
This is the most classic RWBY that we've had in this entire volume.
Last episode ended with a cliffhanger as well, but it was like a status quo shifting cliffhanger. Like, Ruby's gone now, and Neo is a cat. The episode before that, same thing, cliffhanger, but a status quo shifting cliffhanger. Ruby is no longer with their team, and so on and so forth, going all the way back to episode 1. Every episode has ended with like, this is a slight shift in their status quo. That conflict got resolved. Let's continue on with the next conflict. This is the first and only episode of this volume that doesn't have that, and it's also, I believe. I haven't looked at the timestamps or anything for this volume. I believe this is the shortest episode in the volume as well.
Do you think they should have lengthened it out so that they could at least have the status quo shift where Ruby breaks out of the wood as whatever her new thing is, and then have it end on that as the cliffhanger before they fight the cats? Or
maybe. For me, it kind of depends on how drastic of a change Ruby goes through.
That's a good point.
Like, if it's not drastic at all, then I see no reason for them to hold off on it. But if it is like a complete wardrobe change or age up or whatever the case may be, then yeah, building that week-long anticipation is a benefit.
So here's another thing with that when she comes out that I'm curious about / a problem / worry with. What are they gonna do with Ruby in terms of her not doing anything that's happened before? Because that's technically what's supposed to happen. Are they just gonna skirt around that by saying, well, she's not an afterin, or not? Because the other issue I have with that is that another reason why this episode felt rushed is nobody else talked about that. They addressed that, whatever she comes out as, it's her choice, which is that's good, but nobody mentioned that she won't recognize them.
Yeah, so we don't know, and we gotta remember that, like, as far as Ascension goes, every bit of information we have gotten comes from unreliable sources. It comes from people like the Cat, who had a 100% vested interest in preventing anybody from Team RWBY from ascending. Or it comes
and
from...
there's also implications that the cat could just like pull Ruby out of her cocoon and be like, "All right,
possess her.
I'm taking Ruby for a ride. Shut up, the curious cat. Get in the Ruby Evangelion."
Yeah, but like the
inverse.
genial gem that talked to them didn't recognize them. The whole thing is being compliant and serving people. They would acknowledge who the people were if they remembered them.
So the way, and again, because she's not from the Ever After, she might not have to go through the kind of drastic change that the Ever Afterans go through, and it might be the case, and this is how I would make it, where like the more drastic the change, the more of your prior self you have to give up. So like the paper pleasers, in order to become the genial gems, they had to give up all of their memories in order to get stronger bodies. Whereas Ruby, if she's just aging up, then she doesn't have to give up all of her memories. She only has to give up like some
Like her lifespan, yeah.
some memories, or like the
Her
fact that
life,
she
like a
the
chunk of her lifespan.
the fact that she's aging up would mean that she loses those years of her life, and that could be enough of a price to pay. Like, I don't know. We won't know until the next episode is out, which will be before this podcast is up, which is why it's weird for us to theorize it. Especially since we're recording this on Thursday instead of Wednesday. This might not even go up until Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday. Headers and Clippers.
Yeah,
seeking.
I'm gonna try to have it up by Saturday, but like with the day I've had today, I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
I do wish, and I usually don't like to speculate, but I don't know why has been in my head. I really wish they would do to Ruby to age her up what they did to Gandalf, what Gandalf went through, basically. Like, you
Yeah.
had to actually
Yeah.
go through a
I mean-
trial in order to earn, becoming Gandalf the White from Gandalf the Gray.
Ruby with a white would be a cool color shift up for her. They clearly don't care about character color schemes ever since what they've done with Weiss.
Yeah, or Blake.
Yeah.
Blake,
So, like-
Blake
Blake
even
and
more.
her-
Like, Blake has barely any like black or purple in her outfit now. It's all like black
Yeah.
and white. Like,
Blake in her freaking hentai cat suit.
Like, stupid ass zipper outfit is.
yeah.
That outfit is shit.
I'm sorry, dude, but you can't have a zipper just taken off. Blake needs to fully reincarnate at the tree in order to even think about getting that zipper off.
Yeah,
That zipper is a part of her core identity.
Yeah, sorry, Yang. Those pants are basically attached to her now.
Well,
You are
the
not getting
zipper.
in.
She's obviously got like a zipper that like could just like unzip for like relatively easy access. For whatever.
Yeah,
the
to her
fisting
thighs.
Yeah.
Because that's
You know
where
what?
the zippers are, for no reason.
Thinking about it though, like if the Curious Cat like did get super desperate, why wouldn't he just like kill Yang and / or Blake? Offing one of them would mind break the other one probably enough to where he
I
could
think.
possess them.
Well, first, they would have to actually succeed in killing them, which I don't see that happening. But they're doing pretty well in this fight, which is actually a good segue into the fight itself. It's neat. They do the thing that we all wanted Neo to do to Jean, which was you can
Psychological warfare.
You can
because
spot
those
the
wounds
exact
never heal.
You can spot the exact frame where Jean just is destroyed.
And then backstabbed by the first woman who has ever loved him, and too late he didn't actually realize that was the case.
Yeah. He goes to like stab Neo. Neo transforms into Penny, and then has one of the illusion clones or whatever turn into Pyrrha and just cut him down the back because what's aura?
Look, John dumped all of his fucking special points into toughness, so
Well, again, the horror thing, biggest problem with this volume is previous volumes. Didn't have the aura shit, then we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, and then Weiss goes to blast Neo with a fireball and ends up hitting Jean off the tree. So he might not be coming back, but hopefully he does, because that would be
how Weiss was kicked off this.
That would be a really lame way for him to go after everything he's gone through.
Oh god, that's how they write him out. Is he just gets knocked off the tree and can't escape?
That's too lame. That's
Yeah.
That's too lame.
Especially since it's like so unceremonious too.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they use that to stop White Knight from happening too, because like it's literally it literally is the fucking Renora shipping where it's like, oh, can't have that ship happen anymore because Weiss is like too hung up on accidentally friendly firing John. Oh god, I could see them doing it
Oh,
too. Where's my
please, no.
gun?
God, no. Absolutely not.
I mean, it's fitting with how they've treated him in the past with a lot of stuff.
Yep, he's still just the show's punching bag. Yeah, that like I said, like nothing really gets resolved this episode. But Jean is off the tree. Weiss, Blake, and Yang are still trying to fight the cat, and Ruby is she touches her mother's weapon, and then it cuts the credits from there. Um, I don't ever comment on this, but the concept art in this episode is really nice. And I'm not just saying that because we get a full body reveal of Summer. I swear, there's a piece of concept art of Weiss that looks like that's wallpaper worthy. Um, but yeah. Any other thoughts before we get into questions? Uh,
No,
Nope.
that'd be about it.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything else other than like one thing I forget what was it the cat said about why it was that Neo couldn't get across the thing when he tried to bust.
she has no connection to Remnant anymore,
Ah, yes, I
which makes
agree
no
with that.
sense because she should still want to kill Cinder.
Well, yeah, and she kind of got like, well, first off, she shouldn't have wanted to kill Cinder in the first place, so I'm fine that they got rid of that.
Yeah,
And
me too.
like, if that was like her one connection was being angry at some chick, that's not really what I would quantify as a connection per se. So yeah, I don't mind so much that
I
was
don't
like
I don't mind it as an excuse because it gives us this fight and it gives us like an actual fight to end this volume off because this volume has had fewer fight scenes than any other volume as well.
I mean
We basically
honestly,
just have the Red Prince episode, the Jabberwocker fight, the Ruby beat down, and then this.
yeah, I mean if even if they had uh like there's any number of ways they could have done it. Like they could have had like her just not make it there as fast and almost not get through, or like maybe she does make it through and they fight her on the other side. That they could have. There's numerous ways they could have solved it differently, but like I'm not against how they handled it. Really, like if they wanted to have the fight like in the tree yard, I don't know what to call it.
Oh, the one more thing. One more thing. They totally forgot that everyone was supposed to be running out of dust and had already run out of ammunition back in like episode 3 of this volume. That also happened. They bitched out on that. I'm a little miffed about that. All right, time for questions. So, Rob Crow 85 asked, "Do you think Summer Rose will give Ruby some or most of her powers for Silver Eyes?" I don't think Summer is going to play any kind of like contemporary part. We're gonna only see her through like flashback sequences.
I also don't think that's how Silver Eyes work exactly.
Yeah.
Admittedly, they haven't explained how they work, but I don't think it's like I can. Yeah, I mean that would be metal as fuck if you could yank your eyes out and give them to somebody and be like, "Yeah, take these." Like,
I mean, that'd be pretty metal right there. That's like straight
On
out of
some
Naruto.
on some Uchiha bullshit.
yeah,
You must become stronger. I must claim your eyes so I could use the gecko Sharingan or whatever.
Implant them into my own for eternal Mangekyo Sharingan.
yeah.
Um. So, a metric asked another goofy question. Do you think that every member of teams Ruby and Juniper have lost their virginity? No, Pyrrha died a virgin. That will never change.
which is really sad because that's a hot piece of redheaded ass.
Yeah.
Could have
Sad.
been.
The milkman asked, "Do you think this is a temporary solution?" Temporary solution to what exactly?
Yeah, what is he asking
Yeah, I mean
about here?
the conflicts of this volume are temporary. They're not going to really carry over into the next volume.
All conflict is temporary, really, if you think about it. Something Confucius.
Yeah. Uh Makito asked, "Do you think the tree is going to quote unquote cure Ruby of her depression, or will little Jean stop her from being reborn so she can deal with her issues in the real world?" That's the thing that like no matter what Ruby turns into, she is still going to eventually have to address the Salem problem. Uh she is going to still have to, like, it's not going to get rid of the things that caused her to go through her depression in the first place. It's just going to help her recover and maybe deal with it in a healthy way anyway. Because it's all a
I,
metaphor. It's like butterflies and whatever.
I wouldn't say it's really a healthy way to completely abandon your entire identity to deal with depression. I think that's like
I
not
don't either.
exactly a good way.
I don't either,
But
but I also don't think that's where this is going. Because it would be really tedious for Ruby to be like, "Who are you guys?" And for us to basically restart at Volume 1 Ruby. Um, like, I really don't think that's where they're going. They might pull that, but I don't know.
here's I mean, like if they wanna squeeze Ruby 4 or anything else after this, then that's like a very easy fucking orange to pluck off the tree right there. Like you, I'm saying this trying to think of like how much drama can they eke out of Ruby that just completely solves everything and then doesn't have but retains full uh identity and consciousness of the past self and stuff. It it seems like the amnesia thing, you know, it's an overdone kind of soap opera thing, but like it's right there. It's like sitting in front of them. Like I w- I don't really see why they'd pass it up when they could use it for extra stuff later.
So, Amity asked, "Do you think all Team Ruby members will end up ascending to get their Volume 10 outfits?" I hope not.
Yeah,
It would
it's
be
too
cool.
cheesy.
It would be cool for Ruby to do it, and this is actually a problem I didn't even realize I had with their Atlas Saga outfits, where they all get them at the same time for the same reason, which is just, hey, we're in Atlas now.
It's kind of cold.
Wardrobe change. Even yeah, it's kind of cool. Even though none of us are dressed for cold weather anyway. Looking at you, Yang. But like what I liked about the Volume 4 outfits, even the ones I didn't like, Blake's, was that like it came about organically because in Volume 4 they started off in a very different place from where they were in Volume 3, and they were in very different places for very different reasons, and their outfits kind of like reflected that. Whereas in Volume 7, when they got their outfit changes, it was just like, hey, it's been 3 volumes, time for an outfit change. And we're due for another outfit change as well. But I hope that it like I hope Ruby's is like that, but if everyone's is like that, it would cheapen what Ruby is doing right now. It would take a lot of the wind out of the sails, so to speak.
You're right. They won't change their outfits until the beginning of next volume when they're all like, "Oh man, desert time."
I would be down for an outfit change for the next volume though. That I feel like we could be due for that too. Like especially if they
Yeah.
want to put some lipstick on this pig of a series that's called Ruby.
Dude, as far as that goes, I am most excited for Yang because she's had the Western style duster coat before, and there's also that very popular like piece of dishwasher fan art of her as like a cowboy that like they could very easily pull
Oh
from.
god. She has fucking a duster and like like a bikini top, chaps with like the bikini bottom and stuff,
I
and
think they've
like
done the
bullets
duster.
for some reason. Oh god. Oh,
I think they've done the duster already. So like, if
and then
anything,
they give her jiggle physics.
She
I was
if
she's got
thinking,
she's
anything,
got
I was
some
thinking
physics.
cowboy hat. Cowboy hat would be cool.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think a
yeah.
better idea was just to kind of give her like a new biker look, like she almost had for a little while there, uh, back in the first few. Like I don't, I think the cowboy look it was good for a while, but we've had it. I don't want her to go back to different cowboy again, pretty much,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
I
I
eh,
do.
I don't know. I mean, it's fine. Like I said, I wouldn't mind it,
Yeah.
but like, and anything would be better than the stupid like overalls things that she's got right now. But like, I don't know. I want kind of something new for all of them, newish, still like fitting, but like not exactly. I mean, honestly, forget Yang. Like, I want Weiss to go back to being white. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I want her to have like more white in her outfit again as well.
I
I
want
Um
her to
I
go
enjoy her
full.
Fate Stay Night
I
looking
don't
looking.
like I don't like what I know I complain about this a lot when it was first revealed in volume 7. I don't like her hair in this outfit. I
I
don't
like
it
that
is
big single
it is
braid. It's hot.
absurd. Like she did
Mm,
not have that much hair in any other volume. She like grew a whole foot's worth of hair overnight.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Yank's
it's
the one with big, thick, amazing hair, not
yeah.
Weiss.
Yeah, like I don't get why they did that. Um
She does look too much like a Fate character, though. Let's be honest. She really
yeah.
does look too much like a Fate
I
character. Right?
I literally said it day one where it was like, oh yeah,
I'll tell you right now, like
You're like, ah, shit,
you
another
put,
saber. Which saber is this saber? Damn it!
I tell you though, you put Weiss in the desert and give her like the Lawrence of Arabia look, have her have the fucking veil and shit. That's some hardcore stuff. You get people, you get a lot of views with that type of deal. That's
Yeah. So Julian Henry asked, if Ruby ascends, do you think she'll get a semblance or Silver Eyes upgrade? No. Lost Days asked, why is RT better at putting its characters through traumatic experiences than developing exploring relationships? Because it's easier to write.
I thought for a second he said Archie, and I was like, Archie Comics? What the fuck are you talking about?
Now, RT as in Rooster Teeth. But
Yeah.
no, like just having bad things happen to characters and having them react is just typically easier to write than having them actually grow or develop. Just look at the American comic book industry.
Yeah, it's like, why do you think every protagonist always has dead parents?
Yeah.
There's reasons that these things exist. It does make
Heard
things a lot.
about it.
So, uh, a stereotypical gamer asked, "Is this door back to Remnant an opened relic vault?" I don't think so, but it might lead
Doesn't look like
it
into
it.
could
a
be.
vault. Like it could be. I don't think it is because it seems to be like the same whatever that Lewis went through. That and that is just always there at all times, seemingly. But if you're an ever after and you can't get through, you have to have like some kind of connection to Remnant in order to get through, seemingly.
I wonder if it's like if it. I wonder if it does just lead exactly back to where all of their friends are, or if they'll wind up in some weird place and have to get back to them.
I will say that, like, if they end up in Vale, Vale is on the same continent as Vacua, so it wouldn't be, like, too difficult for them to just hop on a plane and fly to Shade Academy where everyone else is at. Be a
I'm still
little more difficult if they wind up on one of the other continents.
I'm still half expecting, like, as soon as they, like, spawn into Remnant after they win their Gulag match, that a portal's just gonna open up and Raven just shows up. That's my bet.
That is a possibility.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Raven's teleportation powers are one of those things that, like, they had to write her out of the whole show because she would just, like, she's too powerful and also sucks as a human being and as a character. So
It's crazy.
Imperator Draken asked, when Ruby resurrects, do you think she'll take on more traits from Summer? Yes. In fact, what I'm hoping, this is just kind of a pipe dream, I hope that she has a red and white cape. Because Summer's cape is white on the outside, red on the inside. I think it would be cool for Ruby to have a cape that's red on the outside and white on the inside. Now just a little inverse of Summer there.
That'd be cool. I'd like that. I don't know. It's hard to, like, I don't know what I could really expect from this. I feel like it might be like Ruby kind of has, like, the opportunity to have, like, a heart to heart with her mom, like, as an adult. Like, that would be nice. And maybe she just, like, goes and, like, grabs, like, her, she just grabs Crescent Rose and maybe it's like, hey, can you, like, give this, like, a little bit of an upgrade or something? I'd actually be fine if she, like, gets a new weapon or something. That would be kind of a good, like, paradigm
I mean,
shift.
they basically kind of like already threw the new weapon thing at your face, kind of like. I don't know. I don't know that she won't use the axe she literally just picked up. Like,
Yeah, again, like, I don't know where they're going with this. So Mr. R YouTube asked, what was the point of this volume? The point of this volume was that a lot of stuff happened in volume 8 and Team RWBY needed to process all of it and realize how much they all suck, but love can make us suck less. That's a Bo Burnham line right there. Thor G1058 asked, does it really make sense for Ruby to want Need to become more like Summer, considering we know Summer herself already failed to stop Salem? That is actually kind of the source of a lot of Ruby's conflict over the past 3 volumes. Yeah. Like, ever since Salem taunted her with it in Volume 7, that's been, like, the thing that has been on her mind. Is that, like, as cool and awesome and powerful as her mom was, as much as she idolized her mom still died. And that's been a kind of a specter haunting Ruby this entire show, and it's why it's actually one of the things that pulled me into the show in the first place was the whole concept of, like, Summer being dead. And this is why Summer being dead is, like, sacred to me. If Summer does a full-blown resurrection, I will drop the show, because her having been powerful and still died, and Ruby having to be even better than that through whatever means, that is, like, what is keeping me engaged in this show. And has been since Volume 2.
No, that's like, Summer being dead is the it's like one of the few, like foundations, truths of the series. Like, there's a lot of stuff you could say is, like, up for debate, but, like, that's one where it's like,
yeah,
it's not.
It's like Batman's parents or Uncle Ben, where, like, they're not characters, they are plot devices that keep the characters going in the direction that they go. Like you can't just bring back Thomas and Martha Wayne. You can't just bring back Uncle Ben. It would destroy their respective characters.
And that's why they did both of those things in each of those comics.
Yes, they did, and it was awful. uh, so Quiet Message asked, "Is it possible Chapter 9 and 10 were supposed to be one episode?" It's possible. I doubt it. Because like the standard RWBY thing is 12 episode volumes, so I feel like they managed to like cut a lot of the fat and streamline a lot of the stuff in order to make less episodes. I don't think they purposely would have cut an episode in half.
Yeah,
Just
we
to
might
have
be
a round number.
yeah, we might be flirting with like too much streamlining in this volume, but then at the same time it's like if there's more runtime, then there's more of an opportunity for like the show to be worse.
Yeah.
Well,
But
we
then
did.
at the same time, if the show is short and it's bad, then it's like it's even worse. So it's like the cooking bit. It's like, oh, you used very few simple ingredients and your dish was terrible, versus like, oh, you used a bunch of complex ingredients and your dish was still terrible. So there's a balance that you have to have here. So
I mean, we did kind of speculate that this episode specifically might have had some cuts made to it
Yeah.
weirdly.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I don't know exactly what the deal is with why they wanted to have this one run shorter. I don't I don't know if anybody has ever if anybody has ever said anything as to why they decided on 10 episodes for this season. Like, clue me into it. Because
I have
I've not.
not seen
that's
anything
that's
about it.
gonna that's gonna be have to be like someone's gonna have to answer that question, ask that question. That would be a good question if you
And
go to a Rooster
I
Teeth
feel
Expo.
well, they have like an after show that I have not watched where they kind of just like comment and answer like some fan questions and some very carefully moderated fan questions. I feel like that's something that they haven't addressed and wouldn't want to address until the volume is over, because then they can be like, okay, now that all 10 episodes are out, this is why we had 10 episodes. No, that way they can actually like talk about it without spoiling it. So that might be in the next after show.
That might, yeah, maybe that'll be how it is. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I have not watched the after show. I have seen like clips and stuff on Twitter and Discord. And that's where I know a couple of the things production wise about this volume. It's actually how I found out that there is going to be 10 episodes, because I did not until the volume was like out. Um, so last question, Crystal Tiger 17 asks, how do you guys feel about Yang's reaction towards Ruby from the end of last episode and beginning of this episode? I feel like we could have used a bit more.
Yeah, we kind of went over that at the beginning,
Yeah.
where sort of like where it was like this was sort of they kind of quickly ran in through it a little bit fast and decided to go to the tree kind of quick.
Yeah, they
Rather,
were. Yeah, definitely. They feel like they were speed running this episode a little bit. I don't know. Like, it's hard to say.
I mean, it's not bad episode for it. It's just it did pass
I
by
kind of
fast.
wanted like Yang to try to start like peeling away the bark a little bit, and then being
Yeah.
like,
Well,
"Whoa there, hold up a second."
she
Yeah,
like brushed the leaves off and took a lot of the like little extra twigs and
yeah,
stuff.
the branches and shit. Yeah.
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 I will
So
say this though. I want like I don't know, dude. Do you want Ruby to like just spawn in next episode and just like wipe the floor with Neocat?
I don't
I
think
think that would maybe be satisfying, depending on how they actually like animate it and stuff.
I would just I wouldn't say spawn in exactly, but maybe like the I imagine like a good way to build the tension up for it would be to have like the tree bark start to like crack and Neocat realize it and be like, "Oh shit, I got to up my game in this fight in order to get to the thing that
Yeah.
I have to take
I
over." or
I
else
think
she'll
that would
bust
be
out
good.
before I can fucking, yeah, you know, like that sort of thing, and then, you know, have that slow build up, and then maybe like middle-ish of the episode have Ruby bust out and beat the shit out of Neocat and be like, fuck you, Neocats. That was my mouse that you crushed. Fucking Cat be like, no, that was Neo that did that. She's like, I can't tell the difference. Dude. She also doesn't have an axe, by the way. She just has Dirty Harry's 44 now. That's my headcanon.
Yeah, she just unzips Bochi the Glock and just drills Neocat.
Yeah, straight up. It's like the fucking Dobby Glock mod for the Harry Potter game. That's
Yeah, or it's literally like an opening to a Grand Thumb episode, but it's just like Neocat like holding up a kid as like with the oh gosh. Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so that was it for the questions. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, that's about it.
All right. If you like
yeah.
this episode and you want to see more, like, comment, and subscribe. Uh, the next podcast, I'm going to try to set it up to where we can do it live on Wednesday night. And I will be handling all that stuff. I really just want to do it live because I have a lot of other stuff that I have coming out at the end of the month that kind of takes precedent over this, and that I had planned as, like, thinking that RWBY was going to go 12 episodes. So, like, I already have Quint Breakdown Part 12 scheduled for April 28th. That video is done. It is uploaded, basically, and ready to premiere on the 28th. And then I am, like, a third of the way done through Part 13. I'm gonna crack down on that video. It will be done by May 5th and will be uploaded probably on May 3rd or May 4th. And be ready to premiere on May 5th. Like, I don't... There's not a whole lot of time for me to actually, like, space out uploads if I don't do the next podcast live. So keep an eye out for that. I will make a post about it time-wise. So follow me on Twitter, join the Discord to stay updated on everything. And another thing coming out, hopefully by the end of the month, is a trailer for my second book, The Nephilim Strain. It is submitted. It is being worked on by the cover artist, and I will have stuff to show for that hopefully by the end of the month, if not the start of May. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and see you next time.
See ya.
Yeah.